You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara Ice Dogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara Ice Dogs.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first installment of the Dog Pound Podcast for the 2021 calendar right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Your February, not February, we're in March now. It's March 2nd, 2020 edition. Gotta love those leap years. But anyways, your source for North American sports coverage by sports fans for sports fans, delivered to you right here in the beautiful Niagara region. Find us on social media for updates, giveaways, and sponsorship promo codes by following the podcast on Twitter at ArmchairGMPod, as well as this show's podcast at Dog Pound Podcast, as well on Facebook and Instagram by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. And we're on many different platforms, including Spreaker.com, the free Spreaker app, as well as Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, CastBox, and Deezer. Wherever you're getting your podcasts at, search us on the Armchair GM's Sports Network. Lastly, our beautiful user-friendly website, armchairgmsports.com, for everything regarding our network, including articles, podcast episodes, sponsors, and contributor news. Everything's on there for you guys. Please go and check that out, and please give us a like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us right now. As always, I'm one of your hosts of the Dog Pound Podcast. My name is Cappy. You can follow me on Twitter at Caputs13 with a Canadian Z, BCAP. And you can also follow my co-host for the all Ice Dogs related stuff on the network. He is Just Kyle.
Hello.
At Just Kyle 51. Kyle, like I just mentioned in the open, and to the Ice Dog fans out there, welcome back to the Dog Pound Podcast. We haven't done an episode since the Christmas special, Snow on Christmas, Cam Snow interview. So it's you know what it's been, Kyle? It's been a while. To say the least, it's been a while. Thank you to Stain.
It'll never get old.
Oh, yeah. That was a must-get sound clip, especially for today's festivities. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, on today's show, we're going to discuss just what's going on with the Ontario Hockey League and when we can expect some Ice Dogs hockey this year. We're optimistic about it. Got some news and some speculation and, stuff going on with the Canadian government, so we'll get into that. And then we're also going to touch on some alumni that are, continuing on with their pro hockey journey, that we're going to touch on a few of those who are notable of late. So we're going to touch on that as well. But in the open, Kyle, again, the Dog Pound Podcast, as far as game recaps go, I felt like we haven't done one of those in over a year, and I think it's almost reached a year since the season was halted, the 2019-2020 OHL season. It feels like that feels like forever ago.
Oh, let's talk about last night's game. Oh, wait, yeah. There wasn't a game last night.
Yeah, this is the highlights of the games we've gotten so far.
I don't remember how to do a game recap.
Yeah, we're almost so rusty about it that we've had to lower ourselves to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Buffalo Sabres every week. Well, at least for me, that's lowering myself because I can't handle it anymore. I wish we had Ice Dogs hockey to talk about, but unfortunately we don't. But the last year or so during the pandemic, we've been making our way around the Ice Dogs locker room, interviewing players. We've interviewed Coach Billy Burke. We've interviewed General Manager Joey Burke. And we've also interviewed some media members around, obviously Rod Mahood, the in-game voice who does our voice intro for our show. We've interviewed Steve Clark, the play-by-play voice of the Niagara Ice Dogs as well. So we've been able to at least have some guests on, but we haven't done anything so far in 2021. All that we've done is Kyle made us a glorious new logo for the Dog Pound Podcast, and got good old Bones there. Looks like he's channeling his inner Rock when he does his tongue if you smell thing. So I love that. I can't unsee that.
Maybe we'll get Bones in the podcast and you can actually get some picture of him with the microphone.
What are we gonna? Are we just gonna have like blank air while Bones is on?
We're gonna have like a dog translator come on and kind of translate.
Yeah, that sounds like riveting podcasting.
We'll get Caesar Milan.
Yeah,
the expert,
the dog whisperer.
Yeah, but shout out to Burke, by the way, both Burks. So Joey Burke, fans of the show. Shout out to you guys. Just want to say hi. Hope you guys are doing well.
Yeah. We'll see if they can come back on the show at some point. Maybe we'll have something to talk about as far as actual games go. But with that said, guys, let's get into the first segment of today's show. And it is brought to you by Custom PPE, Canada's leading face mask provider. Best prices and quickest turnaround in Canada, built from right here in the Niagara region. Order today at customppe.ca. We've got our masks. Time to get yours and keep us safe during the pandemic. Our masks look glorious, so please go and check that out if you guys want.
Wear a mask.
Yes, hashtag wear a mask. The other people, yeah, we're not going to get into that. But customppe.ca. So with that said, Kyle, let's just quickly discuss some of the rumors that have been going on with, return to play. Is it happening or is it not happening? We've got the blanket statement and the generic statement from the Ontario Hockey League on February 25th, which I'll read quickly. The OHL shares our players' desire to drop the puck for the 2020-2021 season as soon as possible. That is why we are working very closely with the Ontario government on how best to facilitate and execute a safe return to play. Those discussions are currently ongoing, and we look forward to continuing with our next steps in that process. Their first proposal was turned down, of course, by the Ontario government. They said it wasn't long enough. So there's that. But, so the blanket statement from the OHL. I mean, the WHL is playing, the QMJHL is playing, but there's obviously rumors on, what are we going to get the hub city for each division? There's a lot of questions and not a lot of answers at this point.
Well, I don't think the WHL are doing hub cities, and they're working out just fine right now. I don't think I've read any outbreaks so far after they've been kicked off. So what the hell is the holdup? Why are we so behind on getting this started?
And
this is ridiculous.
I mean, at first we were talking about the no body contact thing.
Oh, and God, that's just
and that seems like so long ago because we're not even talking about that.
That's the biggest joke of them all. Like, you can't have professional hockey without body contact. It's just not a thing. It's just not a thing.
And now the CCHL has announced that they're playing again. So the league that's based out of the Ottawa area, the CCHL, so they are back playing the same type of junior A league. And as well, the Belleville Senators and the Toronto Marlies also received permission to play hockey in Ontario as well. So the OHL just seems like they are just, being shoved aside by the Ontario government for whatever reason. These discussions are going on. We've seen that the players' petition has been floating around the last week or so by Andrew Perrott, and it's gained a lot of traction with a lot of players and a lot of retweets, and it's been going viral on Twitter kind of thing. But again, players want to play hockey. There's no shocker there. But I don't know how far that's going to get. But you would think that the government would be looking at this and saying, there's got to be a way that we can get this done. But I think the other part of it, Kyle, is logistically and financially. Like, how are they going to do it financially? Are they going to get money from the government if they're not going to be allowing fans into the building, which I doubt is going to be something that's going to happen right away. So they're going to have to help out the teams with some financial stability if they're not allowed to have fans in the building or sell concessions, sell merchandise, because that's a big part of how the OHL survives.
Yeah, I mean, like, the WHL has gotten help from their governments over there from Alberta and BC. Why can't the Ontario government step in? Obviously, we probably make the most money out of any other province in the country. Why has this become such a problem for us to get this going? I really don't get it. I don't understand. Like, it baffles me how this is taking so long. Like, look at the NHL up here in the North Division in Canada, how they've been traveling across the country, and we haven't had one outbreak in the NHL. If the OHL could follow same protocols, why can't they start? I know the NHL's backed with money. Yeah, I get that. But if the Ontario government can step in here and help the OHL a little bit by maybe sticking to similar protocols, I don't see how this thing can't come off the ground and get going here.
Yeah,
it really baffles me.
The other thing is if players go back, they're going to need billets, and then the billets need to be quarantining, and there's a lot of mess with that. But if they were able to do hub cities, one for each division, I mean, that would be something that they could look at. Niagara was the rumored hub city for the Central Division, so that would be interesting.
So what does that mean? Do the players have to still stay with billets, or are they sticking a team in a hotel and That's where they live for the entire time.
I think if it went to a hub city type deal, they would either be A, in hotels, or B, on vacant college or university campuses that aren't being used at this time, is what I think would be the most logistically feasible way to do that. I mean, you could be able to set up like catering meals for the kids and make sure that like one team goes at a time type thing and then goes back to their rooms or whatever.
And they would do, I'm certain like shortened season tournament style playing.
Yeah, it's probably. I mean, they said that they want to have like a 24 game season.
Yeah,
is what
at this point they're going to have to. Like like the OHL is going to be. They're going to have to get this out of the way. Hope that they can get hopefully, I mean, then they're gonna have to wait and see, like everybody else, like us and like you and me, and see how the country rolls out with their vaccines, which we talked off air, and how much of a shit show that is with the country dealing with their vaccines. So it's gonna have to come down to a very shortened season. But I do like the hub city ideas if they can get it done.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we've seen the London Knights. They teased today with an announcement coming tomorrow with
I don't know what that means. Like the eyes, but then like the picture, it's like, hey, what is this? Why we have an aerial view of the ice with people standing on the carpet? Like,
it's one of three things: A, the league's coming back; B, the London Knights are getting a new logo; or C, the London Knights are getting a new jersey, because that's usually what happens.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say B or C.
Is there a D option for B?
Is there an option where I can click B and C?
Yeah, the multiple choice. Yeah. Gotta love those. And then you also loved the Hamilton Bulldogs tweet from yesterday.
Oh my god, this thing was freaking hilarious. The mascot doing the ritual in the dressing room
over the logo.
I'm hoping that's for hoping for OHL hockey to return.
Yeah, we need Bones to do that.
Was something else.
Bones has got to get on it.
Like that's just setting the standard right now for these OHL teams that are not doing anything. You guys need to step it up. I'm counting the IceDogs into this one. What are we doing here for content? Why? How come the Bulldogs, our arch rivals, are coming out with some sweet content like that of the dog in the dressing room doing a ritual, and we're not doing anything?
I think we need to see some on ice action of Bones, like him skating around shooting the puck.
Bones like with a beard on, his quarantine beard.
Yeah, there you go.
Going to get his quarantine beard shaved off.
Yeah, I mean, finally going.
There's
an
idea.
Haircut.
I know if you guys are listening. There you go.
I mean, didn't dog parlors just open back up? So you can go get a haircut.
Yeah. Put a wig on. Put like a beard wig on him. Put like a big giant wig on top of his head.
Yeah. Or
I would die to see that.
Or maybe Joey and Billy. Maybe they've grown some big beards during quarantine.
Or they have put a fake beard on them, and you can do some gimmicks, or you can just pretend to shave off. And
I mean, we'll do something if you want. I mean, I'll pretend to grow a beard because I can't, and then go get that shaved off. But
yeah, I can't. But like, it's not the greatest thing to look at.
Yeah, not on the top of your head, but
no, that's long gone. That ship sailed.
And the last part of it is obviously, again, take this with a grain of salt, but it's worth discussing. OHL insiders on Twitter, again, it's just obviously a speculation type thing, but apparently, according to their tweets, the OHL players from Ontario are being asked to head back to their respective teams as early as this weekend and be ready for a late March, early April start. Players on loan overseas need to be back by the 15th of March per IAHF rules. Teams cannot force anybody to return. And yes, one of the teams I've heard are already asking players to return is an American team, hoping the GM's call/meeting tomorrow is like the floodgates opening. Lots of players reaching out saying they've not been asked to return. I think teams who have a seat on the executive committee know more than those teams that don't, and those are the teams who are asking players to return. After the GM's meeting tomorrow, I would expect more from that. So again,
the GM's meetings today.
Apparently, I guess so, yeah. So the GM meeting's today, so by the time, probably our luck, by the time we're finished recording this episode, news will be out that the OHL is returning to play, and then, we'll have to come up with another episode at some point. But what do you think of those just quick rumors that have been floated around?
I hope they're true. It's weird, because, you take rumors of any kind, not even just as, any kind with a grain of salt, until, with me, I'm not a big rumors guy. I'll buy into it a little bit, but I'm not going to take word for word. I always wait to see the final thing
result.
But for OHL insiders, I mean, they've been right sometimes on a couple of things. They've been all right. They did tweet out 2 minutes ago with that picture from the London Knights, though. They said this is awfully mean for everyone's favorite team, or this was awfully mean from everyone's favorite team. Nothing to see here but an alumni Wall of Fame announcement.
Yikes!
So that's what they thinks that the London Knights poses the Wall of Fame announcement.
Wow,
which it makes sense with the legends that are in the picture. So good for them, sure.
Yeah,
but hopefully. They said the GM meetings today at 1:00. So again, like after we're recording this, we'll probably get word. Hopefully, maybe it might not get leaked out till later tonight. So we'll see. I'm hoping they come back. Like this needs to happen. Like they need to figure out a way to, like we said, like the bubble idea, because we need some sort of OHL hockey. Which you know what, I don't want to be like that guy, but I hope that we, I say we, like myself and Brandon, who are media members, get to be in the building for it. Like I don't want to sound selfish, but I hope we really do.
Yeah, I mean we're missing it just as much as the players are, and again, everybody who covers the team obviously is missing it as well. It's just, and again, for the players, like the draft is another issue. Are they going to do 2 drafts back to back for the Ontario Hockey or for the NHL or the OHL? I guess the OHL at this point.
The NHL is pushing back too. I think the teams are and GMs are trying to push the draft ahead. I think they're still trying. I don't think there's a final word yet on that. But from the last time, I think it was a couple days ago, like Chris Johnson was bringing it up on CBC. He said that teams are still pushing for the push of the draft. So
and
that'll be interesting.
And the players, obviously, the ones that aren't surefire NHL picks, obviously going into a big year for them. If they
their draft year. Like, how's it going to work with teams? Like, how are they going to judge these players?
They're going to have film from like a year and a half before, or like some pond hockey footage.
It's going to be a weird draft, this coming draft. Like, it's going to be a weird one. Like, obviously, Shane Wright's going to go in the top 3.
But he's not even in this year's draft.
It's not even this year. It's next year. Yeah, that's right. Who's, it's that ratty guy.
Brant Clark from Barrie.
Too, yeah.
Is the projected number 1 defenseman. But it's just like, again, it's going to be more of a crapshoot this year because we haven't had any games in the last year. Like,
right.
Some of these players are playing overseas, but not all of them. Not all of them are playing right now. So it's tough. And these guys that could have a big year and become NHL drafted players, they're not getting an opportunity to play. So, I mean, I feel for these players too. Like you as a player, Kyle, plays beer league. I'm sure you're even missing it. But imagine if you were one of these kids, like trying to, try to make your dream happen in the NHL, and your season's essentially being taken away from you. That's got to be tough to take.
You know what? It's going to be a lot. It's going to be different for them. You know what I'm also thinking about? That say like the NHL team drafts someone from this past for this coming draft, right? And they only have the player they drafted in the first or second round only has like that 21 game under their belt from this past season. How does that mean that there's more of a chance that this player is not going to make the NHL right away, and they're going to for sure send him back to the OHL for 1 more year because of that like missed opportunity and that missed play?
Yeah,
I think there's going to be more of a percentage of players going back down than anything for next season in the NHL.
And I do think that they have to extend the age limit for that. Like, I think if anybody that, was robbed of a season this season or lost out on the season, they should have that added onto the end of their OHL career. Like, we saw that in the NCAA football. Players could opt out this year if they wanted to, but then they would get an extra year of eligibility to play in next season if this was supposed to be their last year. So they essentially got an extra year put on if they wanted to, essentially. So they would get like a 5th year added to the end of their college career. And for this sake, it would be their junior hockey career. I hope they do allow players to have the opportunity to come back for another season, because I think that's important as well. If, like you mentioned, they're not going to have a 20-game season under their belt, they're not probably going to make their NHL teams at this point, so they would obviously need another year of where are they going to play, because you either play in because of the way the contracts are set up, they either play in the NHL or they have to go back to their junior team. They can't go to the AHL teams if they come from the CHL. And I mean, you could have a player that could be looking NHL ready, like right in the first round that a team takes, but even if they look NHL ready, I don't think the NHL team necessarily means they'll take the chance on that. I think they're going to take more of a chance of them saying, okay, no, we're actually going to send them back down next year to see what they got in a full year of OHL or junior play than this shortened season type of thing. Yeah, you can't judge them by a 20-game season. I mean,
because in a way, it stunts their growth. it stunts their growth in a way. Like it stunts your development when you don't play a full season.
Yep, and again, the players who don't play in the CHL kind of have a, they have an advantage at this point because they're playing, and some OHL players going overseas, or some are playing in the AHL right now because they've added that portion of it where OHL players can kind of play for their NHL teams and in their farm system. So, but when that happens, if these players are recalled, do you see some of them kind of saying, hey, I'm playing for my AHL squad of whatever team I'm drafted to, so I'm going to stay here? Do you see some players saying, like, not wanting to come back because of this whole situation, which, it's been over a year now since they've had any OHL hockey?
If they're allowed, like, is that allowed? Like, I don't know what the rule is with that. Like, because I know Nick Robertson right now, he was probably going to most likely go back to the OHL. Like, I'm assuming everything was normal. The Leafs would have played him in like the first 10 games of the season and said, okay, like, we'll just send you back down for, another year in the OHL, because he's got no spot on the team right now for his type of caliber of play. And I'm sure they'd want him to gain size and develop more. So right now he's playing in the AHL. If the OHL comes back, say in a month or so, like, is he allowed to stay on the Marlies?
I don't know.
Does he forcefully go back down to Peterborough?
I think because of what's added this year with the NHL's taxi squad and with these players being allowed to play in the AHL, which they wouldn't normally be allowed to play in the AHL, I think they would allow them that opportunity to go back. But my thing is, even giving them the chance to go back, will they even go back?
I wouldn't. If I was like Nick Robertson saying, nah, I'm going to stay here with the Marlies.
Yeah.
I'm going to play with the boys I'll probably be playing with in the next couple of years. Why would you want to go back to a junior? No matter how fun it was. Like, you're playing another type of professional hockey to elevate your game. Why would you want to go back down and score 150 points in the OHL? I don't think that's fun to them.
Yeah, and again, I think the OHL is going to miss out on a lot of top players that they were expecting for this season that might not end up coming back because of that are currently playing for taxi squads or AHL teams within their drafted organization. So I think that's another issue that the OHL might have as well. They might not have as much star power as they had expected this year. Which
Robinson got his first point as a Marley last night, and assisted by, or he either assisted or he scored, but the person he got the point with was newly acquired Alex Galchenyuk.
Yeah, a newly named captain Rich Clune of the Toronto Marlies.
Rich, then that's well deserved. That was so well deserved. It's not even funny. That guy's been like a powerhouse of the Marlies for like the last 7 years.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that on our next Leafs episode. But as far as OHL return to play goes, that's about all the news that we have, and stretched it out as far as we could. So we're going to take a commercial break on the show today. It's going to be a shorter show, and we're going to come back and in the last segment here just discuss some of the alumni, IceDogs alumni, that are doing some good things right now in professional hockey, and just kind of update you on things going on with them. So stay right here. We'll be right back on the Dog Pound Podcast and right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, serving traditional-style Italian pizzas made with the freshest, top-quality ingredients. Loaded subs and their famous chicken wings. Winners of the Reader's Choice Diamond Award, 4 years running from Niagara this week for Best Pizza and Wings in Niagara Falls. Home of the best tray and wing combo in town for the price and quality. Open daily from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., located on the corner of Drummond Road and Dunn Street. Available for call-ahead pickup or delivery at 905-374-4400. Make sure to like them on Facebook and view their website for their menu at carmine'spizzeria.ca. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. Way too good. As we all adjust to this new world that we're living in today, masks are now mandatory, and Niagara's own Custom PPE is Canada's leading face mask provider. Visit them online at customppe.ca and choose between several mask options with different colors and sizes. Add your organization, company, or team logo so you make your face masks unique. Available to purchase online 24/7 at customppe.ca and shipped within 1 week. They have the best prices and quickest turnaround in Canada, and no order is too big or too small. Also offering custom floor stickers as well as face and counter shields for your business or workplace. Visit customppe.ca and use the code ARMCHAIR at checkout for 20% off your custom or blank face mask today. Custom PPE, Canada's leading face mask provider. Attention job seekers, if you are currently looking for work in the Niagara region, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road, Niagara Falls, directly across from the Camisos Plaza. Their free services include resume and cover letter writing, community resource and referral information, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, second career information and registration assistance, and all their services are currently provided by appointment only. So give them a call at 905-358-0021 or visit their website at ehc.on.ca, the Niagara Employment Help Center. This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
God, I miss those generic rock riffs. But regardless of that, this last segment today is brought to you by the Spicy Olive Bar and Grill, authentic and unique Italian-style food right here in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Check out their Facebook and Instagram pages for updates, to view their adjusted hours, and to try their awesome new takeout menu. Again, Spicy Olive Bar and Grill with an E at the end.com. Make sure you're checking them out. Make sure you hit that E at the end. It's not. It's It's Le Grill, like Homer Simpson would say.
Le Grill. What the hell is that?
It's the Spicy Olive Bar and Grill.com. That's what it is. Perfect plug right there for you, Nick. Shout outs to you, buddy. But with that said, Kyle, let's quickly talk about in the last segment here on some alumni. I always gotta love our alumni.
Oh.
Gotta love our dogs alumni. Bark, bark, bark. You know. But with that said, firstly, and first posted on the Niagara IceDogs website, Kian Sopa, the former Ice Dog, wins the Swiss Cup with SC Bern. So shoutouts to Kian Sopa. What are you laughing at?
Sorry, just something we talked about off air. Inside joke.
Okay. Well, regardless, Kian Sopa, good for him in the National League. He only had 3 points in 12 games, but good experience for the young kid getting to play for SC Bern, obviously a winning program over there, and winning the Swiss Cup, which is obviously big for him being a Swiss-born player. So shout out to Kian Sopa. That's a huge accomplishment for him.
Like, that trophy is big. Speaking of big, like, that is that's a big one. I was looking at that and going, okay, like, that's like, it was almost as tall as he is.
Yeah, it'd probably be taller than Cam Snow. No disrespect to Cam Snow. Probably taller than me too, because Cam Snow and I have a lot in common, including our height. Snow. Yeah, the Snow on Christmas special was a big hit. But with that said, Kian Sopa, obviously, good for him. He's also on loan in the SL as well. 21 points in 27 games. So he's been overseas doing his thing, getting it done. So good for Kian Sopa. And as for the rest of the alumni that I want to discuss today, obviously our beloved Akil Thomas, golden goal boy, and was supposed to be playing with Peterborough for the rest of last season and have a chance at the Memorial Cup. That didn't happen with the season being canceled, but him and the Los Angeles Kings have a bright future, Kyle. They have the best prospect pool in the NHL. They've got about 5, top-end prospects, and it's funny because Byfield, Kaliev, and Akil Thomas, all OHL studs, are currently playing for the Ontario Reign. And again, for you people out there that don't know, it's not Ontario, Canada, the province. It's Ontario, California. Just so that
it's not rain like water rain. It's rain like R-E-I-N-G.
G-N, yeah, like Roman Reigns, if you know the wrestler. That's how you spell Reign. The Ontario Roman Reigns. He has 2 goals in 10 games, so doing his thing down there in the Ontario Reign. And again, big things coming from Akil Thomas as the Kings kind of transition here. Their bottom 6 is atrocious, so I expect him and a couple of those other guys to really, come. Cream rises to the top. You know what I mean? Like the cream of the crop promo, like.
You with the words.
Macho Man Randy Savage promo, best of all time.
Cream of the crop.
Exactly. So I expect those top prospects like Akil Thomas, Quentin Byfield, and Arthur Kaliev, and even Gabe Velarde is playing right now for LA. So those guys are going to get a chance. But good for Akil Thomas in his first year of pro hockey, getting his feet wet with the Ontario Reign, and hopefully in some big rivalry games there with the San Diego Gulls, your favorite AHL team.
Mm-hmm. The Gulls. With their mascot, Gulliver.
Yeah, maybe. And again, back to back to NHL talk. I would love to get in a package of Akil Thomas, Quentin Byfield, and Alex Turcotte for Jack Eichel if that was the trade. But we'll have to see if that happens or doesn't happen. But regardless of that, good for Akil. Love to see him doing well. Another player who was actually overseas on loan to the KHL was IceDogs captain from last season, Ivan Lodnia. He was playing for Dynamo Minsk in the KHL. He had 7 points in 27 games. And since then, he's been recalled to the Iowa Wild. He's yet to play in a game for the Iowa Wild, but he is practicing with them. So we'd love to see Ivan Lodnia, 21 years old now, obviously overager, playing. He was a third-round pick of the Minnesota Wild. So good to see that that Lodnia is now getting his feet wet and hopefully getting in some AHL action for the Iowa Wild, Kyle.
Mm-hmm. He was a stud. He's such a stud for us. It's weirdly sad sometimes to see like that them succeed, and it's like, oh, you get that upset feeling, oh, they won't be back next year because they're moving on. But it's also a happy thing to see that they're finding success after the IceDogs, because OHL players don't always find success after the OHL. So it's good to see it when it does come around.
And as coach,
but I want to know, we need to know this because it hasn't been a Hosang watch in a long time with us, but he came up. He's come up in the news. I want to say it was the IceDogs Twitter account. Yeah, it was on the 25th. They retweeted Josh Hosang's first SHL goal.
After he's been bouncing around over there as well.
I don't know what the team is. The abbreviation's LHC. I've seen the logo in the Chell games. But, yeah, still wearing 89 over there. And I guess he's finding success in the SHL right now. We'll see how he goes along. But he got his first goal.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a long road back for him. But we would love to see it if he does come back, because the guy is uber talented. But it's just finding that consistency and finding, getting his head on straight. So we'd love to see Josh Hosang back in an NHL organization. But we'll have to wait and see if that happens. I want to mention about Lodnia, though. Real quickly, and I know Coach Burke talked about it last year, but what a great job he did as the captain, Kyle. That was not an easy spot that he was put in, being like one of the only guys that was left on the team after they essentially traded away everybody of value. Lodnia wanted to stay and be the captain of this team, and he obviously had to go through a really rough spot with this team for the rest of the season. So I think what Lodnia did last year, I think that speaks volumes, and I hope that the Minnesota Wild kind of saw that and saw how he took that scenario and kind of turned it into a positive, even though he could have easily just said, screw it, and this season is basically over, and put his head down and just cared about himself. But he really cared about this group, even though that they were struggling immensely after the trade deadline last year.
Yeah, speaking very biasly here, but I think the guy has serious potential to make the team eventually. I think he has all the traits to become a very good hockey player for an organization. I think Minnesota definitely have a gem in Ivan Lodnia.
A gem in the third round, eh? Like the NHL games. 5'10",
yeah, he was a hidden
198.
gem.
So we'll see if Ivan Lodnia can make his way through the Minnesota Wild organization, because they're kind of going through a transition too. A lot of older players leaving that organization, and they need some young blood in there. So we'd love to see Lodnia make the Minnesota Wild someday. So good for him. Another guy that we want to mention is we'll save the best news for last, I guess. We'll go to Carter Verhaeghe, second last, Kyle, and he's had a resurgence year for the Florida Panthers. Again, Stanley Cup champion with Tampa Bay last year, kind of had a resurgence with his career in his mid-20s. Made his way back up to an NHL roster after being in the AHL for a long period of time. And again, he's playing on the top line with Alexander Barkov, who is one of your keepers in fantasy hockey. So, I mean, he's doing a great job. I mean, he hasn't scored since February 11th, but he's got 15 points in 21 games, Kyle, playing on the top line. No power play time at the moment, no power play points to talk about, but the fact that the Florida Panthers and Joel Quenneville are entrusting a guy like Carter Verhaeghe to play with somebody of Alexander Barkov's caliber, that's got to speak volumes of what they think of him.
Well, Barkov, people can sit there and argue all they want. Barkov is an extremely talented center, if not one of the best centers in the NHL right now. So one of
the top 3 two-way players for sure.
It says a lot. So that just shows how much faith they have in Verhaeghe to play on that line, and shows like how much chemistry that he's gained with it. Like, that's an impressive point or stat line for Verhaeghe. because I'm pretty sure that has to be his best stat line he's had in the NHL so far.
Yeah, I mean, he had 13 points in 52 games last year. He's got 15 and 21. So again, he's around the pace for 20 goals. I'd love to see it happen. And again, playing with Barkov, maybe if he would get some power play time on that top unit there, Coach Quenneville. We're advocating for Carter.
Yeah,
to get
Coach,
some
we know you're listening.
We're gonna get
Quenneville.
some top power play unit top power play minutes for Verhaeghe. Let's see it happen. So 15 points in 21 games for Carter, and it's been really nice to see again. Last played on the Dogs in 2014-15. So
we at the Jack still. We were at the Jack back then, right?
Yeah, I think so. And again, I think he played 14-15. I don't remember exactly the year the Jack opened. I can't remember this stuff anymore. We've missed a whole year of hockey. I can't remember a lot of things from anything that happened during the before the pandemic. It's just like I went through a what's that word? Amnesia for the last year. Now I can't get out of it. But good for Carter Verhaeghe. And lastly, I want to mention. Make him see Ned. Alex Nedeljkovic, Kyle, gets his first career shutout last week, and that save he had the other night was glorious.
God, and then the IceDogs retweeted. Wasn't that last night?
The save he had? Oh, yeah, the save was last night, but the shutout was last week.
Oh, the shutout was great. Like, he's looked really good for Carolina. Now they're in a predicament now, too, because now they have to figure out what to do with the guy, because when they have Mrazek back and Reimer, like, what do you do with him? You don't roll with 3 goalies.
Yeah, I really think that they're going to have to place him on waivers, which the team's definitely going to claim him, or B, like you mentioned in the
taxi squad. He might just be taxi squad ridden, and if there's another injury, they have that. It's kind of like the Leaf situation. Like they get a goalie injury, they just bring up Hutchinson from the taxi squad. Yeah, and insert him in.
Or a team really likes the showcase that the Carolina's giving them, and they end up having to go and trade for a guy like that. There's some teams that could use some stability in net with a backup right now, especially during a pandemic season where there's a lot of back-to-backs. You're going to need 2 solid goalies. Kyle, you know what that feels like.
Now I do.
Yeah. Jack Campbell and Michael Hutchinson.
It's been a while for me and the Leafs.
Yeah, and Freddie. They haven't had that since Grandpa Kurt back in the day.
Even before that, like I don't even count that. I don't. The last time the Leafs had like a steady 1-2 tandem, I don't even remember when it was. Like, do I go back to Belfour Telquist? Like, I don't know.
Yikes!
Belfour Kid? Like,
ooh, yeah, you're really digging to the bottom now.
Yeah,
but
like it's
Nedeljkovic is 2-2. A 2.31 goals against, but a 924 save percentage. That's an impressive save percentage in 6 games. That's insane. So good for Nedeljkovic. And again, it's going to be tough when Mrazek comes back. They're probably going to ride with Mrazek and Reimer, and we'll see. Because Nedeljkovic, they drafted him. They believe in him. So you'd think that he would be in their plans. He was a second-round pick of them in 2014. So hopefully if he doesn't stay with Carolina, another team takes a chance on him, because I really think that he can be in franchise mode terms, a fringe NHL starter, or at least a solid backup for an NHL team.
Right.
Because he's shown in 6 games this year that he can get it done. Obviously, it's a small sample size, but we'll see, if he was able to get more opportunities in more games, how he would do, because he was obviously the starter for their AHL team, the Charlotte Checkers, last year, who are no longer their AHL team for some odd reason. But the thing I want to mention about the Nedeljkovic shutout is that the Hurricanes put out basically like a graphic of they were interviewing him at post game on TV, and they put those little graphics on the bottom of the name and it says like first career shutout or whatever. They royally messed up this moment for him, man. It said, and I kid you not, Nino Niederreiter, first career shutout. They can't even get the guy's name right, man. For his first career shutout, they put Nino Niederreiter's graphic on there.
So many things wrong with that. So many things wrong. First, like, it's not like you misspelt Nedeljkovic or Alex. You literally put a completely different player. 2, you didn't have the smarts to know that Nino Niederreiter wasn't a goalie because you put first career shutout underneath.
The guy's not even a goalie. They
put a different goalie. They put a player.
Whoever the Panthers, graphics guy is, man. They got to give you a call, Kyle, because you definitely wouldn't make that mistake. You might have misspelled his name, because it's not the easiest name to spell. I mean,
I would put the right. At least I would get it.
At least you would. Correct. At least you would put him.
It's not like I would put Eric Stahl or something like that.
Nino Niederreiter. So they ruined that moment for Nedeljkovic a little bit by not even putting his actual nameplate on there. So terrible job there, Carolina. You need to do better for something like that. But with that said, Kyle, that's all I got for today. If anything else you want to mention.
Just hope we get back. I actually been designing the thumbnail while we were talking here, and it's great. But I hope we get to go back. Like, I hope me and you, Brandon, we get to be in there in some capacity, hopefully safely. Obviously, we'll be repping our armchair masks.
Yes,
that'll be great. And we can get this over with. Like, it's almost like it's bad that it's getting to a point now where I'm like, hey, I just wanted to get it over with so they can finally just play and we can move on to get ready for next year. Because it kind of sucks that we're going to be getting to that point where we're like, hey, let's just get through it to get to next year.
Yep.
So we can have a full season again. So
there's going to be a point of no return if we do get, but hopefully we do get it, because we want to talk more Ice Dogs with you guys. Again, it was we stretched out the episode as far as we could today. We've been off for a couple months, but again, we would love to be on here every week talking Ice Dogs, because we know that you guys love that part of our network. So if there's stuff to talk about, we will be back to talk about it. Hopefully this GM meeting goes good today, and maybe on the next episode we're talking about a return to play format and how that's all working out, and talking about projected lines for the Ice Dogs and things like that on a very hopeful and optimistic basis. Mm-hmm. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode and first 2021 episode of the Dog Pound Podcast, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your source North American sports coverage by sports fans, for sports fans, delivered to you right here in the beautiful Niagara region. As always, I'm one of your hosts of this podcast, Cappy. You can follow me on Twitter at Capootz13 with a Canadian Z. As well, you can follow my co-host Kyle at JustKyle51 for his Maple Leafs tweets. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great stuff there. But with that said, a big thank you to all of our great
more
sponsors.
Positive than your tweets right now.
Yeah, there's, touche on that. Big thank you to all of our great sponsors who help put us on and support the network. Keep the show on the air. Make sure you're checking them out and telling them the Armchair GM sent you. Make sure you're checking out your local businesses during this time, especially during these phases of reopening. And finally, to you viewers out there and Ice Dog fans for tuning in and listening along for this episode. Once again, this is the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network by sports fans, for sports fans. Go Dogs, go. Bark, bark, bark. We'll see you guys next time.